Find. Welcome back, dear friends, to Buddha's words for you, find, and may you kindly subscribe and continue accompanying us on this meaningful journey of listening to timeless teachings that nurture wisdom, inner peace, find, and lasting well-being in daily life, find. Dear friends, have you ever found yourself sitting alone in a quiet space, yet your mind continues to wander endlessly, moving from one thought to another, from one concern to the next, without ever truly finding rest, find? There are moments when we become preoccupied with things that have not yet happened, worrying about the future of our work, 5, wondering whether our children and grandchildren will grow up smoothly, and questioning whether life will remain abundant and health will stay peaceful for years to come, find. At other times, the mind returns to stories from the past, replaying unhappy memories, disappointments, and painful experiences that have left deep impressions within the heart, find. In this way, consciousness keeps turning endlessly, creating anxiety and fear, calculations and frustration, fire, leaving the body still while the heart remains unable to discover genuine serenity, pause. This is also the common situation of many people living in the modern world, where everyone longs for peace, yet unknowingly places countless burdens upon their own souls. Human life is naturally fragile and brief, yet many people make that journey even heavier through unnecessary calculations and worries that were never meant to be carried. 5. Sometimes, because of a very small event in everyday life, we cause suffering for ourselves through endless assumptions and worries that seem to have no end. Find. A single careless remark from someone else, or even an unusual glance, can be enough to keep our minds occupied with thoughts throughout an entire day. Pause. We continuously ask ourselves what hidden meaning may have existed behind those words, why that person behaved in such a way, and whether they were judging us or looking down upon us. 5. The more we think, the more tangled the mind becomes, like a tiny thread that grows increasingly knotted whenever we try to untangle it with impatience and haste. 5. In many situations, suffering does not arise from external circumstances at all, but is instead created by the endless stream of thoughts and mental formations within each individual. Some people firmly believe that if they calculate carefully enough, they will avoid loss and maintain stability throughout their lives for a very long time. Yet reality often proves otherwise, because the more they calculate, the more anxiety and uneasiness continue to arise within their hearts. There are people who spend day and night worrying about protecting their possessions, constantly fearing loss or decline, and therefore never allowing themselves a moment of genuine ease. As a result, the body grows weary, sleep becomes incomplete, and even daily meals no longer bring the same feeling of comfort and contentment they once did. There are also those who place excessive importance on reputation and competition, always trying to preserve their position, making it difficult for them to accept differing opinions from others. The moment someone says something that does not align with their wishes, anger immediately arises, causing them to argue endlessly in order to defend their sense of self. They believe they are protecting their personal worth, yet in truth, they are quietly burning their own hearts within the scorching flames of anger and stubborn attachment. Have you ever noticed that whenever anger erupts, the face becomes tense, the heartbeat accelerates, and the clarity of the mind begins to fade away? In those moments, the the words we speak often lack mindfulness, and the people most likely to be hurt are usually the loved ones standing closest to us. There are words spoken in moments of anger that leave deep wounds within another person's heart for many years, sometimes even for an entire lifetime. This is the destructive nature of anger and ignorance, for they resemble a raging fire whose power to destroy grows stronger the more it is fed. Endless calculations are much the same, resembling a heavy burden resting upon the shoulders, becoming increasingly exhausting the tighter we cling to them. Yet in daily life, many people unknowingly walk away from the path of peace by measuring, comparing, and competing over every situation they encounter. Whenever something unpleasant appears, anger immediately arises, causing us to place another burden upon ourselves, while reigniting the flames that consume our inner peace. For this reason, even though many people constantly search for happiness, they still cannot experience genuine ease and freedom within their own lives. Some believe that without calculation, it is difficult to survive in this world, and that without anger, they would lack the strength needed to face everyday conflicts. At first glance, this may sound reasonable, yet, when we contemplate more deeply through the teachings of the Buddha, we begin to see that such views reveal only a very small portion of the truth. What is truly necessary is learning to plan and calculate within proper limits, so that we can care for our lives, nurture our families, and fulfill our responsibilities in a wholesome manner. However, once we move beyond the boundary of enoughness and allow calculation to become comparison, rivalry, or endless accumulation, then it begins transforming into a source of suffering. This is similar to food, which is necessary to nourish the body, yet when consumed excessively, it becomes the very cause of illness and discomfort. Anger functions in much the same way, because temporary emotions are natural, but when we continue feeding and prolonging them, their consequences affect both ourselves and others. Dear friends, many forms of suffering in life do not arise from genuine lack, but from hidden craving and deep attachment residing within the heart. Some people possess great wealth and many valuable assets, yet continue living in fear because they constantly worry about losing what they already have. Others receive abundant love and affection, yet because they cling too tightly, they remain anxious at all times and are unable to live peacefully. There are also those who enjoy respected positions and admirable achievements, yet spend their lives in tension and defensiveness because they fear being surpassed by others. From this, we can clearly see that the roots of suffering do not lie in external circumstances, but in the calculations and fires of anger that quietly exist within the depths of the mind. There is a simple image from everyday life that can help us reflect more deeply upon this truth and understand it more clearly. If our hands are already holding a bundle of firewood that is far too large, there will be no remaining space to receive a beautiful flower being offered to us. The human heart is much the same, for when it continues clinging to resentment, worries, and attachments, happiness finds very little opportunity to enter. The more we live in competition and comparison, the more tightly the doors of the heart close themselves against the beauty already surrounding us. The more we allow anger to dominate our lives, the heavier the mind becomes, moving farther away from the natural peace that has always existed within. Past. Meanwhile, true happiness is often born from letting go, from a heart that knows contentment, from understanding, and from the spirit of compassion extended toward all beings. Find. There was once a devoted student of the Buddha who shared that despite constantly planning and calculating every detail, life still refused to unfold according to his wishes. Fast. He explained that the more he tried to control and arrange everything around him, the more anxiety and exhaustion accumulated within his heart. Bide. The teacher responded with a gentle smile and softly explained that because his mind was crowded with endless thoughts, there was no space left for peace to enter. Bond. Peace is not created through endless calculations, comparisons, or the countless plans that people pile upon their minds. Bond. Peace appears when we know how to stop at the right moment, simplify our lives, and appreciate what is sufficient according to the conditions and blessings we have received. Fine. Look at the water inside a vessel. If it is constantly stirred, it will remain cloudy, but when left undisturbed, it naturally becomes clear and transparent. Wide. The mind of each person is exactly the same, for when we reduce unnecessary thoughts, loosen attachment, and return to mindfulness, peace gradually begins to appear in every moment of life. Fine. When we lessen needless calculations and stop piling excessive desires upon ourselves, the soul naturally becomes lighter, and tranquility slowly finds its place within daily living. Bide. When we reduce the habit of comparing and competing within our hearts, we begin to feel the gentle peace that has always existed within each passing moment. Friends. Dear friends, human life is fragile and brief, and the sufferings of existence are already abundant, so there is no reason to burden ourselves further with anger, attachment, vice, and endless disputes. Wide. If we continue making our hearts heavy through endless calculations and worries, are we not wasting the precious human life that we have been fortunate enough to receive? Base. A wise person always knows how to choose the path of releasing unnecessary burdens in order to preserve serenity within the heart. Wise. Letting go does not mean becoming indifferent or abandoning responsibility, but rather understanding what is enough, knowing when to yield back, and learning to smile at matters unworthy of concern. 5. There are situations where, if we insist on winning at all costs, we may spend an entire lifetime without ever finding genuine peace. Faith, on the other hand, by yielding just a little, harmony and warmth within the family can increase beyond measure. 5. When people know how to step back at the right moment, they often discover before them a vast sky and an endless ocean of inner peace. 5. Most serious conflicts within families begin from things so small that they appear completely insignificant at first glance. A single unpleasant remark or an accidental glance can sometimes ignite long-standing tensions into storms of conflict and misunderstanding. Yet if even one person in such a situation knows how to remain silent and practice patience, those turbulent waves quickly begin to settle. Fire. This is much like a fire already burning fiercely, for if fuel continues to be added, the flames only become stronger and more destructive. Fade. Conversely, when the fire is no longer fed, it naturally weakens, fades away, and eventually disappears altogether. 5. The anger that arises within the human heart follows precisely the same principle. 5. If we continue feeding it through arguments, comparisons, and endless disputes, anger grows increasingly powerful and difficult to control. But when we know how to stop at the proper moment, remain silent, and offer a smile filled with understanding, the flames of anger slowly begin to subside. Friends, dear friends, everyone who lives in this world wishes to experience happiness and peace for themselves. 5. Yet, happiness is not born from calculating gain and loss, nor from constantly trying to secure advantages for oneself. True happiness is nourished by a heart that knows how to let go, a mind free from resentment, and a life content with what is already present. A person who understands the value of contentment is far less troubled by things that remain beyond their reach. Meanwhile, a person who never feels satisfied spends an entire lifetime living with feelings of lack and dissatisfaction. Those who know how to yield and accommodate others can remain peaceful amid a world filled with constant change and uncertainty. In contrast, those unwilling to yield, even in the smallest matters, often struggle to find genuine peace within their minds. This is a simple truth, yet one that anyone can verify personally by turning inward and observing the workings of their own heart. Dear friends, there is a truth so simple that not everyone possesses the courage to face it honestly. The more calculations and worries we carry within ourselves, the more exhausted and unsettled we become. Those who calculate every detail excessively are often the very people who carry the greatest number of worries throughout life. And those who allow anger, resentment, and competition to dominate their hearts are usually the ones who endure the longest and deepest suffering. For the more tightly we attempt to hold everything, the more we worry, cling, and become attached, the narrower our hearts begin to grow. And a narrow heart leaves very little room for peace, joy, and gentle happiness to enter and remain. Someone once asked whether avoiding excessive calculation means surrendering to life and allowing circumstances to carry us wherever they may. The teacher simply smiled with kindness and offered an explanation filled with wisdom and profound understanding. To think carefully and plan within reasonable limits is a sign of intelligence, mindfulness, and practical wisdom in daily life. However, when those calculations exceed healthy boundaries, they gradually become the very cause of suffering and harm within ourselves. Experiencing emotions and reacting to life's events is a completely natural part of being human. Yet when anger is allowed to grow beyond measure, it becomes a blazing fire that consumes our own joy, peace, and happiness. You can clearly see that even eating and drinking require balance, moderation, and proper restraint in order to benefit the body. Even medicine intended to heal illness can bring great benefits when used correctly and with appropriate care. But when taken beyond what is necessary, the very thing meant to heal can become harmful to the body itself. Calculations and anger function in exactly the same way, for anything that exceeds proper limits can eventually become a burden upon the soul. Many people have undoubtedly experienced long nights of restlessness, unable to sleep because of endless thoughts crowding the mind. It is often not the lack of shelter or life's necessities that causes exhaustion, but the weight of constant worry and mental agitation. Sometimes everything begins with something very small, such as meeting someone tomorrow and wondering what words should be spoken. Then the mind creates countless assumptions about how the other person might react if they dislike what we have said. Thoughts continue shifting from one direction to another, endlessly searching for answers that never truly arrive. In the end, the problem remains unsolved, while the heart grows heavier and the mind becomes increasingly tense and fatigued. The wise people of old taught that excessive suspicion creates anxiety, while excessive calculation destabilizes life itself. Indeed, the more we worry about events that have not yet occurred, the more difficult it becomes to find peaceful and restful sleep. And the more we overthink every situation, the more our lives become covered by unnecessary worries and mental afflictions. Throughout life, we often witness many paradoxes that are deeply worthy of reflection and contemplation. Some people cling so tightly to their possessions that they live constantly in fear of loss and can never sleep peacefully. Meanwhile, there are others who own very little, yet rest each night with a serene heart and a tranquil mind. The person who insists on winning every argument often believes that victory over another person has been achieved. Yet after everything is finished, that person carries heaviness within, while the one who remained silent continues living with remarkable lightness. The individual who slams the table and shouts in anger often imagines that such behavior demonstrates strength and authority. In reality, it is often a sign of weakness, revealing an inability to govern and master one's own emotions. The one who can smile calmly and move beyond insignificant matters is the person who possesses genuine inner strength. Wise teachers frequently compare the human ego to a balloon that has been inflated far beyond its natural capacity. The more tightly that balloon is stretched, the greater the risk that even the slightest external pressure will cause it to burst. Those who carry an oversized sense of self are often quick to anger and constantly feel the need to prove they are right. A very small conflict can become enough to trigger an emotional explosion, just as a sharp needle can burst an overinflated balloon. By contrast, those who practice humility and modesty become more flexible, resilient, and stable when facing life's challenges. For this reason, happiness in life depends greatly upon whether we possess the courage to loosen our attachment to the ego. Take a moment to reflect upon the image of a great mountain standing firmly between heaven and earth throughout countless years. No matter how fiercely the winds may blow, that mountain remains steady, unmoved, and deeply rooted in its foundation. Likewise, a vast lake may receive a stone thrown upon its surface, yet the ripples soon fade and calmness naturally returns. A person whose heart is spacious and expansive resembles the lofty mountain and the broad lake, not easily disturbed by trivial matters. In contrast, a narrow-minded person resembles a cup already filled to the very brim. Only a single additional drop is enough to cause it to overflow and create consequences far greater than the original cause. Therefore, those who cling excessively to small matters and constantly calculate gain and loss often become angry easily and create suffering for themselves. Many people confess that they truly do not wish to live in anger or constantly compare themselves with others. yet they cannot understand why irritation continues arising within them and why such thoughts repeatedly return to their minds. 5. The teachers often explain that these thoughts do not arise naturally on their own, but are the result of habits that have been nurtured and reinforced over a very long period of time. 5. The habits of the mind are much like a well-worn path, for the more often we travel it, the clearer it becomes, and the more difficult it is to change. Vows. Although deeply rooted mental habits can be extremely difficult to transform, they are never beyond change if we sincerely and patiently practice each day. Bound. If today we choose to walk a different path, then tomorrow take another step upon it and continue doing so consistently, a new road of peace will gradually be formed. Bound. Therefore, if we wish to lessen anger and the heavy burden of endless calculations, we do not need to accomplish anything extraordinary or dramatic. Bound. The most important thing is simply learning how to stop at the right moment before emotions carry us farther than we intend to go. Backs. When anger first begins to arise within the mind, gently take a deep breath and allow awareness to return to the present moment. Acting. Then, close your eyes for a brief instant and remind yourself that everything in life will eventually pass away, just like clouds drifting across the open sky. But remember that anger never solves a problem, but only deepens the suffering already present within the heart. Bast. Even a brief pause before reacting can prevent countless hurtful words and spare many emotional wounds that never needed to exist. Bound. Whenever thoughts of comparison, competition, or calculation appear within the mind, calmly turn your attention toward them with mindful awareness. Bound. Ask yourself whether those thoughts truly bring peace into your life, or whether they merely create additional worry, tension, and unease. 5. If you clearly see that excessive calculation only increases confusion within the mind, then courageously let it go and allow your heart to become lighter. Balm. Dear friends, there are many things that we once believed were immensely important in this lifetime. Yet when we look back after many years have passed, we often realize they were never worth sacrificing our inner peace for. Find a single argument, a struggle for personal gain, or a stubborn insistence on being right may seem important in the moment, but are they truly worth so much? Bound. Are such things really worthy of the priceless serenity and tranquility that we already possess within ourselves? Bells. Human life is brief, and time is a precious gift that no one can ever reclaim once it has passed. Find. So why should we allow those limited years to disappear in anger, disputes, and endless calculations over things that ultimately matter so little? Find. At the end of a person's journey through life, what remains is not who won, who lost, who was right, or who was wrong. 4. What truly matters is how we lived, how much peace we preserved within ourselves, and how much love we offered to others. But take a moment to remember the times when you became angry in the past and examine them through the eyes of the present. Vow. Many situations that once seemed overwhelmingly serious eventually became so small that they were hardly worth remembering. Bored. Yet in moments of anger, we transformed those tiny matters into great storms that shook the peace of our families. And often, it was the people we loved most who suffered the deepest wounds caused by our uncontrolled emotions. There have been couples who once loved one another deeply, yet because they could not overcome moments of anger, they remained distant for an entire lifetime. And there have also been family members bound by blood and childhood memories who lost sacred relationships because of a few words spoken in pride and competition. Halves. Only after everything has passed do people begin to feel regret. Yet by then, many opportunities for healing and reconciliation are already gone. Find. There is a very simple story that carries within it a profound lesson about patience, understanding, and compassion. A mother, deeply worried about her child, became angry when she saw that her child had returned home very late. Overcome by emotion, she spoke harsh words that caused the child to feel deeply hurt and misunderstood. Unable to control the anger that had arisen within, the child left home and wandered away for the entire night, filled with resentment. When dawn arrived and they finally saw one another again, neither could find the words to speak, though both carried sadness within their hearts. Had the mother remained calm a little longer, preserved her composure, and waited patiently before offering gentle guidance, perhaps the warmth of the family would never have been overshadowed by those temporary emotions and painful misunderstandings. And if the child had understood the love hidden within the mother's concern, listening quietly instead of reacting through anger, then the situation would never have grown into a painful distance between two people who genuinely loved one another. Sometimes only a small amount of anger and a little stubborn attachment to being right can create cracks within family relationships that take years to heal. Have you noticed that many forms of suffering in life begin from causes that are incredibly small and seemingly insignificant? A single burst of uncontrolled anger or one stubborn thought that refuses to let go can create consequences far beyond what anyone expects. Therefore, if we truly wish to reduce suffering in our lives, we must begin by reducing the anger, attachment, and endless calculations that we carry within our hearts. No one is forcing us to carry every worry, disappointment, and burden that life places before us. Nor is anyone compelling us to nurture resentment, jealousy, or the desire to compete endlessly with other people. These are entirely choices that arise from our own awareness, understanding, and way of living. A person who understands the value of inner peace learns how to release everything that is unnecessary for the well-being of the soul. Meanwhile, those who do not yet understand this truth often cling tightly to everything and eventually exhaust themselves beneath the weight of those burdens. Wise teachers often compare life to a ferry carrying people across the great river of human existence. If we load that ferry with greed, anger, delusion, and endless comparisons of gain and loss, then the boat of consciousness becomes heavy and struggles to move toward the shore of peace. But when we learn to put down unnecessary burdens, the boat moves lightly and naturally toward the shore of awakening. So each of us must decide whether we wish to travel in a vessel weighed down by exhaustion or upon a journey that is light, graceful, and free. With every breath we take and every step we walk in daily life, we are given opportunities to practice releasing anger and attachment. When shopping and encountering someone who behaves unkindly, we can still choose to smile rather than argue in defense of our ego. When working and seeing another person receive credit that might rightfully belong to us, we can still maintain a calm and peaceful heart. Or, for the true worth of a human being is not found in praise or recognition from others, but in the purity of one's own conscience. When returning home and facing situations that do not meet our expectations, we can still choose gentle words instead of blame and criticism. Each time we release a portion of anger or a measure of competitive thinking, we also release a portion of suffering from our lives. Dear friends, today I would like to share a short story that carries a profound lesson about gain and loss within the human journey. Long ago, a fox happened to pass by a garden filled with clusters of ripe grapes hanging heavily from the vines. The grapes were plump, shining beautifully beneath the sunlight, awakening intense desire and longing within the fox. The fox ran around the garden searching desperately for a way inside, but could find no convenient entrance. After searching for some time, it finally discovered a small opening in the fence that appeared to be the only possible way in. Fortunately, the fox was too fat to squeeze through the narrow gap. Unwilling to abandon the tempting grapes waiting beyond the fence, the fox decided to stop eating so that its body would become thinner. After many days of hunger and hardship, its body finally became slim enough to slip through the opening and enter the garden. The moment it got inside, it was overwhelmed with joy and rushed eagerly toward the grapes it had desired for so long. It ate enthusiastically and continuously until its stomach became completely full and it could no longer swallow another grape. But when the time came to leave the garden, the fox discovered a troubling reality that filled it with anxiety. Its swollen belly, enlarged from days of indulgence, prevented it from fitting through the opening once again. The fox found itself trapped within the garden, restless and confused by a situation created entirely by its own greed. In the end, it was forced to endure another long period of hunger so that its body could become thin enough to escape. And when it finally managed to leave the garden, the fox realized that after all its effort, struggle, and suffering, it had gained nothing of lasting value. What remained was only a weakened body worn down by hunger and countless days of exhaustion that it had created for itself. Though simple on the surface, this story reflects the lives of countless human beings with remarkable depth and clarity. Many of us are very much like that fox, endlessly chasing after the sweet grapes offered by the world. Or those grapes may take the form of wealth, fame, affection, social status, or achievements that people everywhere long to attain. We often believe that obtaining such things will finally make life complete and happiness everlasting. Yet as time passes, each person gradually discovers that all of these are merely temporary values within an impermanent world. The channel Buddha's Words for You would like to express heartfelt gratitude to all of you who continue walking this path of seeking peace and understanding through the Buddha's teachings. Sometimes, in order to obtain something we desire, we sacrifice immense effort, precious youth, and even cherished relationships along the way. And once we finally obtain it, we continue living in fear that one day those very things may leave us behind. Instead of finding peace, we simply acquire new worries and place even greater burdens upon our hearts. Then, when the journey of life eventually comes to an end, everything we once held so tightly must also be released, for nothing can be carried beyond that final moment. Best, that is the truth that every person who comes into this world will eventually have to face, whether willingly or not. Faith, life has always contained opposing realities that travel side by side, such as gain and loss, joy and sorrow, success and failure. Faith, love can bring years of sweetness and happiness, yet it can also lead people through some of the deepest forms of pain. Best, wealth may make life more convenient and comfortable, but it can also become the source of countless worries and burdens. Best, success brings honor, pride, and recognition, while failure often teaches the most valuable lessons about life and human nature. Best, everything beautiful in this world arrives together with its own challenges, limitations, and conditions. Best, joy and sorrow continue to exist like two sides of the same coin within the ever-changing flow of life. Fact, some people possess great material wealth, yet they pay for it with their health and inner peace. Fame, others gain fame and admiration from many people, yet lose precious relationships that once filled their lives with warmth. And there are also those whose material circumstances may be modest, yet they enjoy the blessing of a loving and harmonious family. Fact, in the end, when the journey of life reaches its conclusion, all people become equal before the law of impermanence. Fast, no one can carry wealth, reputation, social status, or worldly achievements when departing from this world. Fate, because the Buddha understood this truth so deeply, he offered humanity a lesson that is both simple and profoundly transformative. Best, do not burden your heart with endless calculations of gain and loss that leave the soul exhausted and confined. Fact, do not allow endless craving to lead you away from the peace that already exists within you. Fast, as long as you are still alive in this world, strive to live each day fully, meaningfully, and with awareness. Best, live with kindness, sincerity, and goodness, so that every day becomes a precious day worthy of gratitude. Fact, some people wonder that if they do not plan for the future, how can they care for themselves and those they love? Best, yet this does not mean abandoning responsibility or living carelessly while allowing life to unfold without effort. Bound, human beings still need to prepare wisely, make thoughtful arrangements, and work diligently to care for their families and fulfill their duties. Best, the important thing is knowing when to stop, rather than allowing worry to become a burden that continues without end. Fact, to make preparations within proper limits is a sign of wisdom and practical understanding in daily life. Best, but if we constantly calculate every advantage, compare ourselves with others, and compete for recognition, we only create additional suffering for ourselves. There, human life passes quickly, like a gentle breeze moving across the vastness of the open sky. Bound, yet countless people spend most of their time fighting, competing, and comparing themselves over things that are not truly necessary. Best, sometimes a single remark or even a passing glance is enough to disturb the heart for an entire day. Back, this is no different from the fox enduring long periods of hunger simply to satisfy a temporary craving. Best, after all the striving and effort, what remains is often only exhaustion and the depletion of body and spirit. Fine. Human beings behave in much the same way. willingly sacrificing youth, health, and peace in pursuit of things that are ultimately superficial. But when they finally look back upon their lives, they realize how many precious blessings were overlooked along the way. 5. What remains within memory is often regret and the suffering created by attachment itself. So what is the deepest lesson that the story of the fox offers to all of us? It is the lesson of learning to be content with what we already possess in the present moment. Contentment is the doorway that opens into a life of freedom, joy, and peace amid an ever-changing world. When we learn to stop at the right moment, we begin to see that happiness has been quietly surrounding us all along. When we appreciate a simple meal, a peaceful home, and the loved ones who walk beside us, the heart naturally becomes lighter and more joyful. In contrast, if we continue chasing endless desires, we become increasingly trapped within the prison of our own greed. The wise people of old taught that the person who knows contentment always feels abundant, while the one waiting to have enough never truly feels satisfied. This is a profound truth that becomes clearer and clearer the more deeply one experiences life. True happiness is not determined by how much we possess, but by our ability to appreciate what is already present. Some people live in modest homes and enjoy simple meals, yet their smiles remain bright and genuine. Meanwhile, others live surrounded by abundance and luxury, yet their hearts remain filled with anxiety and unease. For this reason, the root of happiness does not lie in external circumstances, but within the state of one's own inner peace. Dear friends, please view life as a long journey that every human being must eventually travel. During that journey, if we carry too much baggage, every step becomes heavier, slower, and more exhausting than it needs to be. On the other hand, when we learn to put down unnecessary burdens, the road ahead becomes remarkably lighter and easier to walk. Do not be like the fox that imprisoned itself within the cage of suffering, simply because it could not let go of its desires. Human life appears in this form only once, therefore strive to live it with genuine meaning and purpose. Live with gentleness, inner tranquility, and the kind of joy that arises naturally from a peaceful heart. Then one day, when you look back upon the path you have traveled, you will not be consumed by regret over what has been lost. While you are still present in this world, choose to love more rather than complain and criticize. Choose to share more generously rather than trying to keep everything only for yourself. Choose to yield more often rather than stubbornly defending the demands of the ego. First, practice releasing personal interests, reducing unnecessary arguments, and letting go of anger whenever possible. Smile gently at passing rumors and worldly judgments, and quietly release the small matters that are not worth carrying. After all is said and done, every honor, humiliation, gain, and loss in life is no more than a fleeting dream within an impermanent world. One day, every one of us will leave this world with empty hands, unable to take anything with us. Yet, the difference is that some people depart, filled with regret and heaviness because they spent their lives trapped in attachment and craving. Others leave peacefully and serenely because they lived each day guided by compassion, wisdom, and understanding. Therefore, dear friends, Do not allow endless calculations of gain and loss to imprison your soul. 5. Do not allow greed, anger, and delusion to become invisible chains that bind your life to endless suffering. Free yourself from those unseen chains of greed, anger, and delusion that quietly restrain the heart day after day. Choose instead to live sincerely. Remain content with what you have and nurture a peaceful mind amid every change life brings. When this becomes your way of living, whether circumstances are favorable or difficult, whether you gain or lose, you will still be able to smile with ease. Have you noticed that most suffering in human life originates from bottomless greed, lingering anger, and the confusion born of ignorance? When greed arises, people constantly want to keep everything for themselves and endlessly seek more than they already possess. Yet, life is impermanent, and nothing can continue forever according to the wishes of any individual. When anger appears, we easily lose clarity and unintentionally wound the very people we cherish most. And after everything has passed, we ourselves often carry the deepest wounds within our own hearts. When people live in delusion, they struggle to distinguish what is wholesome from what should be avoided. They continue walking through the fog of attachment without seeing the bright path illuminated by wisdom. Greed, anger, and delusion are the three great fires that silently consume the peace and happiness of human life. And they resemble invisible ropes that leave people exhausted, confused, and unable to discover genuine fulfillment. But dear friends, human life is brief, and every breath we take is fragile, from one moment to the next. No one knows what tomorrow may bring, nor how much time remains in this precious life. If we remain immersed in calculations, resentment, and attachment, life becomes nothing more than an endless chain of dissatisfaction. Some people spend every day competing with others, and even when night arrives, they still cannot sleep peacefully. Some cling to old grievances so tightly that everything they see becomes irritating and everything they hear feels unpleasant. Others constantly weigh gain and loss in every small matter until they gradually lose the simple joy of being alive. Even if such people possess abundant wealth and live in comfortable conditions, true peace remains beyond their reach. So, what does it mean to live sincerely, according to the teachings of the Buddha? It means living in harmony with one's own clear conscience and refusing to use deception in pursuit of personal advantage. It means striving to speak kind words, perform wholesome actions, and treat others with compassion and goodwill. A sincere person may occasionally experience disadvantages in certain situations that arise along the way. Yet, over time, that sincerity becomes the foundation for genuine respect, trust, and affection from those around them. A smile that arises from a sincere heart can soften anger that has been quietly growing for a long time. A handshake offered with genuine goodwill can restore relationships that once seemed broken beyond repair. A heartfelt apology can heal wounds that have remained painful and unresolved for many years. The wonderful truth is that sincerity never causes a person to lose anything of real value, but instead brings immense peace into life. So what does it truly mean to practice contentment according to the spirit of the Buddha's teachings? It is the ability to look at what we already have and genuinely feel happiness arising from those simple blessings. And instead of constantly focusing on what is still missing and allowing dissatisfaction and frustration to take root within the heart. Bound. A person who is content with a modest home often enjoys peaceful sleep and a mind that rests with ease. Bard. A person who is content with a simple meal can savor the wholesome sweetness present in every bite. Bound. A person who is content with the love already surrounding them naturally experiences life as warm, meaningful, and precious. 5. In contrast, a person who never feels content may live amidst abundance and comfort, yet still experience a constant sense of lack. Bard. Bottomless greed is like drinking seawater. For the more one drinks, the greater the thirst becomes. Find. True happiness is not found in endlessly acquiring more, but in knowing when to stop and appreciate enough. Bound. It is the ability to cherish the present moment and value the simple gifts that quietly appear each day. Verse. And what does it mean to live with a peaceful mind? Bound. It means keeping the heart from being swept away by praise and criticism, or by the countless changes of worldly life. Bound. A person with inner peace does not become excessively excited when receiving what they desire, nor do they become overwhelmed by sorrow when facing losses that cannot be avoided. Vise. They understand that everything in this world follows the natural rhythm of arising and passing away. And because of this understanding, they do not allow themselves to become trapped by attachment to success or failure. Peace does not mean living a life without storms, challenges, or moments of uncertainty. And peace is the ability to keep the heart calm and steady, even while the winds of life continue to blow. There are people who live in crowded and noisy places, yet their minds remain still, like an autumn lake. At the same time, there are others who sit alone in a quiet room, while their hearts remain filled with anxiety and unrest. And this reveals that peace is not determined by external conditions, but by the state of one's own inner world. And peace is the fruit of patient practice, the willingness to let go, and the courage to return to oneself. Friends, dear friends, take a moment to reflect that life itself is ultimately nothing more than a brief journey. And we arrive in this world carrying nothing, and one day we will leave it with empty hands once again. Fame, wealth, power, and every victory or defeat are merely fragile particles of dust carried away by the winds of time. So why should we allow such temporary things to make our hearts heavy and exhausted? Why not choose instead to live sincerely, remain content, and protect inner peace during the days that remain? And then every day that passes can become meaningful, complete, and illuminated by the light of mindful awareness. And sometimes happiness is already very close, if only we are willing to step back instead of pushing forward into conflict. And sometimes yielding a single argument is enough to preserve harmony within an entire relationship. And sometimes restraining a moment of anger can prevent wounds that might otherwise linger for many years. And sometimes smiling in the face of gossip and criticism can make life feel remarkably lighter and freer. And sometimes simply reminding ourselves that what we have is already enough can instantly bring peace to the heart. And do not wait until your hair has turned grey before regretting the years spent in anger, competition, and endless calculation. Final. Do not wait until the final chapter of life to realize that you never truly lived with mindfulness, serenity, and awareness. And begin now, in this very moment, with small but sincere transformations within your own consciousness. Fast, practice releasing what is unnecessary and learn to live with gratitude for what is already present. Fast, practice returning to the breath and allowing peace to grow from the deepest part of your being. Favorable circumstances arrive. Smile with humility, gratitude, and mindful awareness. Then, when difficulties arise, smile as well, understanding that all things eventually pass away. For gain and loss, when seen clearly, are nothing more than clouds drifting across the vast sky. Only a peaceful heart is a treasure that can remain meaningful until the very end of life's journey. Friends, dear friends, when we reach the final threshold of life, all distinctions and comparisons lose their meaning. And no wealthy person is exempt from the law of birth and death, and no poor person alone must bear that reality. And death is the most equal truth that every living being must eventually face upon the journey of existence. Fine. It is the final doorway that no one can avoid and no one can pass through on behalf of another. And no power is great enough to preserve a single breath once the conditions sustaining life have reached their end. Bucks. No amount of wealth is sufficient to purchase one more day of life when time has run out. Fide. Before this law of impermanence, all of us are equal, and eventually we return to dust once again. Find. Some people spend their entire lives exhausting themselves, accumulating wealth, and building vast achievements. Find. They may have occupied prestigious positions and received admiration from countless people throughout society. And yet, in the end, they too lie down in silence, just like every ordinary person who has ever lived in this world. Best, others spend their lives in modest circumstances, concerned each day only with simple needs and daily sustenance. Yet, when their human journey comes to an end, they also depart quietly and gently, just like everyone else. Bond. The body that we carefully protect and cherish throughout life will one day return to dust, according to the law of impermanence. Fact, no one can carry wealth, status, possessions, or anything belonging to this world through the final doorway of life. Down. So where, ultimately, does the difference between wealth and poverty truly exist? Bang. What creates genuine value is not what we possess, but how we choose to live during the time we are given upon this earth. Bound. For this reason, do not allow yourself to become trapped too deeply in endless calculations of gain and loss. What we gain from excessive calculation is often very little, while what we lose can be immeasurably great. Bound. Some people sacrifice their health in pursuit of wealth, only to discover that when wealth arrives, health has already departed. Others become so consumed with personal ambitions that they forget the loved ones who need their attention and care. When they finally turn around and look back, the distance between themselves and their families has grown far too wide to easily bridge. Best. There are those who spend an entire lifetime competing, struggling, and comparing themselves with others. Vain. Yet, when old age eventually arrives, they discover that very few people remain who genuinely love and stand beside them. So what, then, has truly been gained, and what has truly been lost during all those years? Fans, dear friends, life is not a race designed to prove that we are superior to anyone else. Fame. Human beings are not born merely to accumulate possessions or seek recognition from the world around them. Faith. We are here to learn, to grow, and to understand the profound value of love and compassion. Faith. We are here to appreciate the beauty contained within each day that unfolds before us in mindfulness and gratitude. Faith. We live so that each evening we may smile and quietly tell ourselves that today was a day lived with meaning. Best, if an entire life is spent only gathering possessions and worrying endlessly, existence becomes a journey filled with pressure and tension. Faith, in such a life, it becomes extremely difficult to discover moments of true ease, freedom, and contentment. Take a moment to remember which experiences have genuinely touched your heart with authentic happiness. Fame. Were they not the simple family meals filled with laughter and the warmth of loved ones gathered together? Faith. Were they not the moments of seeing your parents, spouse, children, or family members healthy, safe, and at peace? Fame. Were they not the times when you held the tiny hand of a child and listened to their innocent laughter ringing through the air? Faith. Were they not the moments when you helped someone facing hardship and saw gratitude shining clearly within their eyes? Fame. These simple experiences are incredibly precious, yet they require neither great fame nor vast wealth. Faith. They are the treasures that truly enrich the human heart. Faith. A person who constantly calculates tends to live either in worries about the future or regrets about the past. Best. Such a person spends too much time dwelling upon what has not yet arrived or what has already disappeared. Best. Yet, dear friends, only the present moment is truly real and available before us. Face. The future has not yet appeared, while the past has long since come to an end. Best. If we miss the present moment, then we are also missing our own life as it unfolds. Best. Many people promise themselves in youth that one day, when they become wealthy, they will finally live happily. Faith. Yet, when the desired wealth eventually arrives, their health is often no longer what it once was. Face. Others believe that once life becomes less busy, they will finally enjoy peace and relaxation. Face. But when that time comes, the body may already be burdened by illness, while the mind carries entirely new worries. Faith. So where can true ease and freedom actually be found? Faith. Ease does not exist somewhere in the future, nor does it reside within memories that have already passed away. But ease is present in the very moment we learn to set down the unnecessary burdens we are carrying today. All human life passes through this world only once, so learn to treat yourself with greater gentleness and compassion. Fact. Do not wait until the journey is nearly over before realizing that you never truly lived. Better. Practice living with joy, sincerity, and a wholehearted appreciation for everything that is present in this very moment. Bars. When sharing a meal, take time to savor each flavor with a deep sense of gratitude and awareness. 5. When sitting beside loved ones, be fully present and listen with all the love your heart can offer. 5. When performing a task, devote your full attention and care to it, rather than becoming obsessed with the final result. 4. Every experience is a precious thread woven into the greater meaning and beauty of a human life. Bond. There are certain matters that, if held too tightly within the heart, gradually obscure our ability to experience joy. And there are words that, when carried for too long, become heavy burdens resting upon the soul. Vast, there are rumors and worldly dramas that, if pursued endlessly, only cause us to suffer unnecessarily. So why not learn to release those things that no longer serve any meaningful purpose? Each time we let go of a little, the heart becomes a little lighter, varies. And each time we release even more, the soul expands like the open sky and the vast ocean. The person who knows how to let go is one who understands the wisdom hidden within life itself. The person who knows how to let go is also someone capable of touching genuine and lasting happiness. For such a person refuses to be imprisoned by temporary things that possess no enduring substance. Human life is very brief, so allow each day to pass in peace, serenity, and quiet contentment. 5. Always remember that when our eyes finally close, we do not take money, status, or worldly fame with us. What remains are the wholesome seeds we have planted throughout the course of our lives. Perhaps it is a sincere smile offered to someone at the moment they needed it most. Perhaps it is an open heart capable of understanding and sharing the burdens of those facing hardship. Perhaps it is the silent love we have given without expecting anything in return. These are the true provisions for the final journey that every human being must eventually undertake. When we carry such beautiful qualities within us, we depart this world with lightness and peace. We no longer need to be haunted by regret or sorrow over things left undone. Dear friends, human life is as brief as a vehicle that passes by only once and never returns along the same road. One day, all of us will have to let go of everything we once held so tightly. Homes, money, reputation, and even the disputes that once seemed so important will remain behind. Even the resentments that once caused us great pain will dissolve like a dream that has already faded away. At that time, what remains in the memories of those who love us will not be the things we owned then. What they will remember most is the way we lived and the way we loved the people around us. Therefore, what truly matters is not whether we possess much or little in material terms. What truly matters is whether our hearts are light, peaceful, and free. The value of a life is not measured by how much greater we are than others. Its true value lies in whether today we are more peaceful, more compassionate, and more awakened than we were yesterday. Life is fragile and changes continuously with every passing moment. Do not imprison yourself within the walls of greed, anger, and delusion. Simply live each day with sincerity, contentment, and a heart overflowing with generosity and understanding. Simply learn to love more, blame less, and release more of what no longer deserves your attention. If you can do this, then your life will already be precious, meaningful, and deeply aligned with the spirit of the Buddha's teachings. The speaker sincerely hopes that after hearing these reflections, each of you feels a little lighter within your own heart. May you continue forward, carrying a serene smile and a peaceful spirit throughout the journey that still lies ahead. When life presents situations that disturb your peace, remember to return to your breath and safeguard the calmness that already exists within your own heart. Base. Whenever something unsettles your mind, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and smile gently at yourself with mindful awareness and understanding. Fine. Then softly remind yourself that everything in this world follows the law of impermanence, and sooner or later, all things will pass away. Bald. When greed begins to arise and urges you to hold on to more and more, remember that in the end, no one can carry anything away from this world. Vows. When thoughts of competition and comparison appear within the mind, ask yourself whether they are truly worth sacrificing your precious inner peace. Bide. By taking even a little time to reflect in this way, the soul becomes lighter and life itself feels far less burdensome. Base. If one day the journey of human existence comes to an end and we must leave this world behind, base. Being able to smile, knowing that we have lived a life without regret, is already the greatest accomplishment one could ever achieve. That is a complete and perfect happiness that neither wealth nor fame can ever equal. The channel Buddha's Words for You would like to offer heartfelt gratitude and warm farewells to all of you who have listened to these reflections. May each of you continue walking the path that leads toward inner peace and the radiant light of the true Dharma. Friends. Dear friends, human life is truly like a quiet ferry, gliding gently along the river of time. Bound. Once we step aboard that vessel, there will come a day when each of us must leave it and arrive at the final shore. Bind. No one can remain on that ferry forever, because the nature of life itself is constant change and endless movement. Every passing moment carries the mark of impermanence and the certainty of transformation. Yet what is truly worth reflecting upon is that many people forget to enjoy the beauty of the journey they are already traveling. 5. Instead of appreciating the river of life, feeling the gentle breeze, and cherishing the companions beside them, they spend far too much of their precious time arguing, competing, and comparing over matters that hold little real importance. Some people sacrifice their peace of mind over a position, a careless remark, or a small personal advantage. Only when the ferry finally reaches its destination do they realize that none of those things truly mattered. Human life may seem long when viewed from within it, yet compared to the vastness of existence, it is no more than a fragile breath passing through space. It is like a gentle breeze that appears for a moment and then quickly disappears into the infinite sky. Yet during that brief span of time, people place countless burdens upon their own shoulders. Vast worries, frustrations, and unnecessary calculations continue growing larger with each passing day. Some people spend their entire lives living in anxiety and uneasiness. They worry about the future, their careers, their families, and even the opinions of the world around them. Nothing harmful may have happened yet, but their minds are already exhausted by imagined possibilities. Others spend years living with resentment and anger that never seem to fade away. They repeatedly revisit old stories as though reopening wounds that had once caused deep pain. Every time those memories return, the sorrow within them becomes stronger and more deeply rooted. There are also those who constantly compare themselves with everyone and everything around them. A single careless remark can trouble their hearts for many days. Facts. Even a small gesture or expression from another person can disturb their peace and leave them restless. Meanwhile, time continues moving forward quietly, never waiting for anyone. Fine. When they finally look back, they realize that many precious years have already slipped away forever. The things that once caused anger and suffering often no longer seem important at all. Fine. What remains is only regret for having devoted so much energy to matters that never truly deserved it. So why should we continue allowing ourselves to drown in sadness, resentment, and complaint? Vowed. Sorrow does not make problems disappear, but only leaves the heart more exhausted and the body more burdened. 5. It makes life heavier, yet offers no genuine solution to the difficulties we face. Fast. The Buddha taught that all phenomena in this world carry the nature of impermanence within them. Pass. Everything follows the law of arising and passing away, gathering and dispersing according to conditions. 5. Even this physical body cannot remain forever, so how much less important are the trivial victories and defeats we cling to so tightly? Fade. The hurtful words that once wounded us and the resentments that once seemed unbearable will gradually dissolve and fade with the passage of time. Pass. The person who angers us today may one day no longer be present beside us at all. Find. The situation that causes pain today may eventually become nothing more than a faint memory drifting through the river of life. Face. Many of the sorrows we continue carrying within ourselves are actually like dark clouds moving across a vast and open sky. And quote, if we learn to lift our gaze and look farther, we will discover that the sky of awareness remains spacious, clear, and untouched. Clouds may gather and disappear, yet the sky itself remains vast, luminous, and enduring. Friends, dear friends, amid this ever-changing world, the most precious treasure is not what we manage to accumulate, nor is it the amount of money we possess or the reputation we earn in the eyes of others. The most precious gift is the opportunity to live each moment with peace, mindfulness, and clarity. 5. A gentle breath, a healthy body, and a tranquil heart are already blessings beyond measure. Even a simple meal shared with beloved family members contains a happiness that many people search for their entire lives. A sincere smile exchanged amid the busyness of daily living can warm the hearts of countless people. Those who appreciate the present moment and release what is not worth holding will discover peace already dwelling within them. In contrast, those who fill their hearts with jealousy, resentment, and endless comparison will find it difficult to experience genuine joy. 5. Even if they possess great material wealth, they may still feel lonely and impoverished deep within their souls. Because life is brief, wise people do not waste their precious years clinging to suffering. They choose to nurture compassion rather than resentment. They choose forgiveness rather than preserving old wounds within the heart. They choose to live lightly and freely amid the countless changes that life inevitably brings. When we learn to let go, life immediately feels less burdensome and far easier to carry. When we learn to yield, the heart is no longer consumed by pointless conflicts and disputes. 5. When we learn to pause, listen deeply, and smile, we begin to realize that happiness has never been far away. Bess, someone once asked how it is possible to maintain peace while living in a world that often seems unfair. Friends. Dear friends, from the perspective of karma, all things unfold according to a profound and subtle fairness within the universe. Every action, every word, and every thought is a seed planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Then, those who sow wholesome seeds gradually receive wholesome fruits, corresponding to the causes they have created. Thus, those who sow unwholesome seeds must eventually face the consequences arising from their own actions. If we continue carrying resentment within our hearts, we are planting additional seeds of suffering for the future. But when we learn to forgive, open our hearts, and cultivate compassion, we are planting seeds of peace and happiness instead. In time, those seeds blossom into flowers of serenity within our own lives. Therefore, forgiveness is not primarily a gift offered to another person. Forgiveness is the greatest gift we can offer to our own hearts. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, defeat, or surrender. Letting go is an act of wisdom through which we free ourselves from the chains of hatred and suffering. Look deeply into life and see that everything changes according to the flow of causes, conditions, and impermanence. When we observe carefully, we discover that the more tightly we try to hold everything, the more vulnerable we become to suffering and anxiety. Those who cling tightly to money often live in constant fear that one day they may lose what they possess. Those who become attached to fame often live with the anxiety of being forgotten or losing their place in the world. Those who preserve old resentments carry an invisible burden upon their hearts every single day. In contrast, there are people who cling to nothing except a kind heart and a peaceful state of mind. Though they may not possess great abundance, they move through life with a remarkable lightness and freedom. The true difference does not lie in external circumstances, but in the way each person chooses to meet life. When the mind is peaceful, the world itself appears softer, gentler, and more welcoming. But when the mind is troubled, even favorable circumstances can feel heavy and difficult to bear. One of the deepest secrets to genuine peace is learning the true meaning of letting go. Letting go does not mean avoiding responsibility or turning away from one's duties. It means refusing to allow the mind to become imprisoned by trivial matters and unnecessary concerns. It is the wisdom to recognize what deserves to be protected and what should be gently released. It is also the art of living fully in the present, instead of endlessly regretting the past or fearing the future. In daily life, cultivate a broader and more compassionate perspective toward everything you encounter. When someone says something that displeases you, pause for a moment before reacting emotionally. Take a deep breath and ask yourself whether this matter is truly important enough to carry within your heart. Then imagine looking back on it many years from now and consider whether it would still matter at all. Most of the time, the answer will be no, because many things that once upset us quickly fade away with time. If they are not worth remembering in the long run, then why should we imprison ourselves with the chains of those temporary afflictions? Live like a river that continually flows toward the great ocean, with a spirit that is open, free, and unburdened. The river passes countless shores and encounters much dust and debris, yet it never clings to anything for itself. Human beings are much the same, for throughout life's journey, we will meet those who love us and those who do not. We will receive words of praise, yet we cannot avoid hearing criticism and misunderstanding as well. We will experience seasons of ease and success, but there will also be times of hardship, adversity, and challenge. What matters most is not trying to hold all of those experiences tightly within the heart. What matters is learning to let everything come and go, just like the flowing waters of a river. When people love and appreciate you, treasure them with a heart filled with gratitude. When others fail to understand you, meet them with compassion, patience, and kindness. Favorable conditions arise. Express sincere gratitude for the blessings that have entered your life. When difficulties appear, view them as teachers, helping you grow wiser, stronger, and more mature. If you can live in this way, your heart will become as vast as the ocean and far less vulnerable to the storms of life. Dear friends, each of us has a final day waiting somewhere along our personal journey. No one knows exactly when that day will arrive. It may still be far away, or it may be much closer than we imagine. If we know with certainty that one day we must leave behind everything we currently hold, then why allow ourselves to remain trapped by things that are so small and ultimately so insignificant? Why not choose to love more rather than criticize and blame? Why not learn to forgive more rather than endlessly remembering the mistakes of others? Why not practice letting go so that the soul may become freer and more peaceful with each passing day? The channel Buddha's Words for You offers heartfelt gratitude and warm greetings to everyone listening to these reflections. May each of you discover the path that leads toward lasting peace and serenity within your own heart. Dear friends, when we look deeply into life, we realize that what people truly seek is not endless wealth, nor is it grand houses or vast fortunes that inspire admiration from others. What everyone longs for in the deepest part of the heart is genuine happiness and lasting peace. It is the feeling of waking each morning with calmness and ending each day with a tranquil mind. Yet the strange reality is that the more people chase external things, the farther they often drift from that peace. A wealthy person is not necessarily happier than someone who possesses very little. A person with great status does not automatically experience more joy than an ordinary individual. Sometimes a simple laborer enjoys deeper sleep and a more peaceful heart than many who possess immense riches. Meanwhile, some people have every material comfort imaginable, yet their minds remain crowded with anxiety and unrest. The difference does not lie in circumstances, but in the way each person chooses to view life. Those who know contentment feel rich, even while living with the simplest of blessings. They can find joy in a modest meal and comfort beneath a humble roof. Those who never feel content, however, remain convinced that something is always missing. Because greed has no natural ending. The more it receives, the more it continues to demand. A person who knows how to let go when loss occurs can quickly restore balance within life. Fast, but a person who cannot let go may possess an entire treasure house and still live in constant fear of losing it. Fast, peace and happiness have never been determined by possessions, status, or outward appearances. Fine, they arise from the ability to appreciate what is present, release what is unnecessary, and live with a grateful heart. Find. When we understand this truth, many worries that once seemed overwhelming begin to lose their power over us. Find. We stop measuring our worth through comparison and begin valuing the quiet richness already present within our lives. Play. Then every ordinary day becomes an opportunity to experience the miracle of being alive. Fast, a simple sunrise, a warm meal, a kind conversation, or a moment of stillness becomes a source of genuine happiness. 5. And in that awakening, we finally discover that the peace we searched for everywhere else had been waiting quietly within us all along. Bard. There are people who know how to stop and recognize that a simple meal is already enough to nourish both body and mind with gratitude and contentment. When they realize that even a small home can provide shelter from the rain, protection from the sun, and the warmth of family love. Fine. When they understand that a single peaceful breath is a priceless gift that not everyone is fortunate enough to continue receiving. And their hearts naturally become lighter, calmer, and far more at ease than before. Find. At that point, they are no longer swept away by endless races of comparison, competition, and worldly ambition. Fast. Nor do they feel exhausted from constantly trying to prove their worth to others. Bounds. Dear friends, human life is far shorter than most of us tend to believe. Fast. If we continue chasing desires that have no ending, we may eventually realize that we have overlooked countless precious blessings along the way. Barn. We may have missed family meals, familiar laughter, and simple moments of peace that once quietly surrounded us. 5. But if we know how to stop at the right time, appreciate the present moment, and release what is unnecessary, fast, then even an ordinary day can become a day overflowing with joy, gratitude, and happiness. Bows. The channel Buddha's Words for You would like to offer sincere gratitude and warm greetings to all of you who are listening today. Bound. May each of you continue walking the path that leads toward peace, wisdom, and understanding within the Buddha's wonderful teachings. Fine. In this life, the greatest treasure does not lie in the quantity of things we possess. The greatest treasure is the ability to live authentically and wholeheartedly within each present moment. Deep within every human being already exist seeds of goodness, kindness, and clarity. This is the pure nature that each of us carried into the world from the very beginning. From ancient times, the Buddha taught that the true nature of the human mind is naturally pure, luminous, and peaceful. It is like a calm lake in the early morning, reflecting a clear blue sky without a single disturbance. Yet when the winds of greed begin to blow and the waves of anger start to rise, when the clouds of delusion cover the sky of awareness, the lake can no longer remain clear and tranquil. Waves of mental affliction begin to arise, making the mind cloudy, restless, and confused. This is the moment when people lose contact with the peace that already exists within them. The instant a desire arises, the mind begins to move away from stillness. And once the mind becomes unsettled, countless worries, comparisons, and calculations quickly follow. We begin thinking about gain and loss, success and failure, and the opinions that other people may hold about us. All of these concerns accumulate layer upon layer, making the heart increasingly heavy and exhausted. Human beings are easily pulled into this cycle without even realizing what is happening. We spend too much time worrying about what we have gained and what we may lose. We worry about how others see us and fear the judgments of the world around us. The more we worry, the more uneasy the mind becomes, and the more tired the body grows. Take a moment to consider how many nights you have lost sleep because of a single careless remark from someone else. Think about how often you have felt sadness because of an unusual glance or an outcome that did not unfold as you wished. Yet after enough time has passed, those very things often seem far less important than they once appeared. Many experiences that once caused deep pain eventually become little more than distant memories. This reveals that the true source of suffering does not exist outside of life itself. 5. It arises from the way the mind clings, judges, fears, and becomes attached to passing conditions. When we understand this deeply, we begin to realize that freedom is not found by changing the world around us. Freedom is discovered when we learn how to transform the way we relate to the experiences that arise within our own hearts. When the dust of attachment settles and the mind becomes calm, we begin to see life with greater clarity and understanding. 5. We realize that many things we once chased desperately were never truly necessary for our happiness. We also discover that much of the suffering we carried for years was created by our own resistance to change. The law of impermanence is a profound reminder that the time allotted to human life is not endless. Everything is changing from moment to moment, so we should not delay the work of transforming ourselves. Two people may stand within the same garden, yet one sees only weeds and feels discouraged and dissatisfied. Meanwhile, the other notices flowers blooming everywhere and experiences gratitude and joy. Two people may witness the very same afternoon, yet one complains about the heat and discomfort, while the other feels thankful for the sunlight that warms the earth and nourishes all living things. The world itself remains as it is, but the way we perceive it determines the quality of our experience. Therefore, what matters most is not how many things we believe we still lack. What matters is how deeply we appreciate the blessings already present around us. When we learn to recognize that a simple meal can nourish both body and spirit. When we understand that a modest home can provide shelter, security, and the warmth of family. When we realize that each peaceful breath is a priceless gift not everyone is fortunate enough to receive. The heart naturally becomes lighter, calmer, and more content than before. At that moment, we are no longer trapped within endless races of comparison and competition, nor are we exhausted from constantly trying to prove our worth to the world. Dear friends, life is far shorter than most people imagine. If we spend all our years chasing desires without end, we may eventually discover that we overlooked many priceless treasures. We may have missed shared meals with loved ones, familiar laughter, and countless peaceful moments that quietly passed us by. But when we learn to stop at the right time, appreciate the present, and release what is unnecessary, then even the most ordinary day can become a day filled with happiness, gratitude, and meaning. The channel Buddha's Words for You would like to extend sincere gratitude and heartfelt blessings to everyone listening today. May each of you continue walking the path that leads toward peace, wisdom, and awakening within the Buddha's teachings. In this world, the most valuable treasure is not measured by the number of possessions we own. The greatest treasure is the ability to live truthfully and wholeheartedly within each present moment. Within the depths of every human heart already exist seeds of goodness, compassion, and purity. These are the luminous qualities that each of us carried into life from the very beginning. When wholesome seeds are nurtured with mindfulness, kindness, and wisdom, they gradually blossom into beautiful fruits. When we deeply understand impermanence, we no longer feel compelled to cling to things that must inevitably change. When we understand dependent arising, we cease becoming trapped by temporary appearances and fleeting conditions. When we trust deeply in the law of cause and effect, we become more mindful in every thought, word, and action. These three gateways of wisdom, once opened, leave mental afflictions with no place to remain. As a result, the heart becomes peaceful, and life itself grows lighter and more harmonious. Therefore, whenever suffering appears, gently remind yourself that all things are impermanent. Remember that this experience is only a temporary condition passing through your life. And remember that it is simply the unfolding of causes planted sometime in the past. What matters now is planting new seeds of kindness, understanding, and goodness. But when we practice in this way, adversity becomes a teacher, guiding us toward wisdom. Suffering itself becomes an opportunity to understand our own hearts more deeply. Each breath and every step gradually becomes part of the path leading toward peace and liberation. Friends, during the time when the Buddha still walked upon the earth, there was a deeply meaningful story. On one occasion, while traveling with a group of monks through a village, a number of villagers, not yet understanding the Dharma, harbored prejudice and hostility toward the Buddha and his followers. They blocked the road and spoke many harsh and insulting words toward the Blessed One and the Sangha. Several younger monks felt upset, and waves of irritation began arising within their hearts. Yet the Buddha continued walking calmly and gently, his face serene and his mind completely undisturbed. After leaving the village, one of the younger monks could no longer contain his curiosity and respectfully asked a question. The young monk respectfully asked, "World-honored one, why did you remain so calm when those people spoke such harsh and insulting words against you?" And the Buddha looked at him with compassion and gently replied with a lesson filled with profound wisdom. If someone prepares a gift and offers it to another person, but that gift is not accepted, to whom does the gift belong? The monk answered without hesitation, "It still belongs to the person who brought it, Blessed One." The Buddha smiled and said, "In exactly the same way, if others offer anger, hatred, and insults, but we choose not to receive them, those things remain with the one who brought them." And the young monk listened carefully, and a deep understanding gradually began to arise within his heart. Then, the Buddha continued, "If another person's anger can immediately make you angry as well, then your peace depends entirely upon them. Bow. But if your mind remains calm and steady, then no one has the power to steal your peace away." As, dear friends, this teaching remains just as valuable and relevant in our lives today. Vast. How often do we allow a careless remark from someone else to disturb our hearts for an entire day? As, how often do we carry resentment because of something that happened long ago and continue reliving it over and over again? As, in doing so, we unknowingly accept and preserve the very suffering that others place before us. As, yet if we learn not to receive those gifts of anger and negativity, our hearts remain free and undisturbed. 5. This does not mean becoming cold, indifferent, or disconnected from life, but rather, it means cultivating enough wisdom to recognize what deserves our attention and what should be released. Thus, a peaceful mind does not arise because the world suddenly becomes perfect. Best, peace arises because we learn how to relate differently to the imperfections of the world. 5. When someone praises us, we can smile with gratitude without becoming attached to their approval. Thus, when someone criticizes us, we can listen carefully without allowing resentment to take root. When circumstances are favorable, we remain humble and appreciative. When circumstances become difficult, we remain patient and resilient. This is the strength that comes from a mind grounded in wisdom rather than reaction. Dear friends, if we look deeply, many of the battles we fight each day are not taking place outside of us. They are taking place within the landscape of our own minds. Fear. We struggle against fear, worry, attachment, disappointment, and countless expectations. We seek peace while continuing to nurture the very habits that disturb our peace. We long for freedom while continuing to cling tightly to what cannot be kept forever. The Buddha taught that liberation begins with understanding. When we clearly see the causes of suffering, we also begin to see the path beyond suffering. When we understand that everything changes, attachment naturally begins to loosen. When we understand that every person carries unseen burdens, compassion naturally begins to grow. When we understand that happiness cannot be found through endless grasping, contentment naturally begins to appear. And when contentment appears, the heart finally begins to rest. Life does not become free from challenges, but our relationship with those challenges changes completely. The storms may still arrive, but they no longer uproot the tree whose roots grow deep in wisdom. The waves may still rise, but they no longer disturb the ocean that has discovered its own depth. The world may continue changing, but the heart remains steady because it understands the nature of change itself. Friends, dear friends, this is why the Buddha continually encouraged people to return to mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to see clearly before reacting impulsively. Mindfulness creates a sacred space between an event and our response to that event. Within that space, wisdom has the opportunity to arise. Within that space, compassion can replace anger. Within that space, understanding can replace judgment. Within that space, peace can replace suffering. And little by little, through such moments of awareness, an entirely different way of living begins to emerge. A life no longer driven by fear, greed, and endless comparison found. A life guided instead by wisdom, compassion, gratitude, and inner freedom. A life in which happiness is not dependent upon circumstances, but grows from the quality of the heart itself. A life that reflects the beautiful teachings that the Buddha offered for the benefit of all beings. The Buddha's words touched the hearts of the monks deeply, and they continued walking in silence while reflecting upon the meaning of what they had just heard. That simple teaching reveals a truth that many people spend an entire lifetime trying to understand. We often believe that others are responsible for our suffering, yet much of our suffering comes from how we choose to respond. A harsh word may be spoken by another person, but whether it remains within our hearts is ultimately our own decision. An insult may be offered, but only when we accept it and carry it with us does it become a burden. This understanding does not excuse harmful behavior, nor does it encourage passivity in the face of injustice. Rather, it empowers us to reclaim responsibility for the state of our own minds. When we stop allowing external circumstances to control our inner peace, we begin to experience genuine freedom. Dear friends, there is another important truth that deserves our careful reflection. Many people spend years trying to change the world around them while neglecting the world within. They wish for different circumstances, different people, and different outcomes. Yet even when circumstances improve, dissatisfaction often remains because the root of suffering has not been addressed. The Buddha pointed inward because he understood that lasting peace can never be found solely through external changes. A person may move to a more beautiful place, yet still carry anxiety wherever they go. A person may gain wealth, yet continue worrying about losing it. A person may receive praise, yet still feel insecure within. These examples remind us that the condition of the heart determines the quality of our experience far more than external conditions ever can. When the heart is peaceful, even simple circumstances become sources of joy and gratitude. When the heart is restless, even abundance can feel insufficient. Therefore, true spiritual practice is not about escaping life, but learning how to meet life with wisdom. It is not about avoiding challenges, but developing the strength to face them skillfully. It is not about controlling every circumstance, but learning how to remain balanced amidst changing circumstances. The Buddha often compared the mind to a garden that requires careful cultivation. If we neglect the garden, weeds naturally begin to grow. If we continually water anger, resentment, and greed, those qualities become stronger with time. But if we nourish compassion, patience, and understanding, those qualities also grow stronger. Every thought, every word, and every action becomes a seed planted within the soil of consciousness. The harvest we experience tomorrow depends greatly upon the seeds we choose to plant today. This is why mindfulness is so valuable, because it helps us recognize what we are planting in each moment. When anger arises, mindfulness allows us to see it before it takes control. When fear arises, mindfulness allows us to observe it without becoming overwhelmed. When desire arises, mindfulness allows us to examine it carefully rather than blindly following it. 4. In this way, awareness gradually transforms the quality of our lives. Found, dear friends, happiness is not something that suddenly appears one day as a reward waiting at the end of a long journey. 8. Happiness is created moment by moment through the way we think, speak, act, and relate to life. Found, it is found in simple acts of kindness. Found, it is found in moments of gratitude. Found, it is found in forgiveness. Found, it is found in contentment. Found, it is found in the courage to let go of what no longer serves the well-being of the heart. 4. The more we understand this, the less dependent we become upon external circumstances for our happiness. Found, gradually we discover an inner source of peace that remains available even when life becomes difficult. Found, this peace does not make us immune to pain, but it changes the way we experience pain. 5. It allows us to suffer less because we no longer add resistance, resentment, and attachment to every challenge we encounter. Found, like a lamp shining steadily in the darkness, wisdom illuminates the path before us. Found, like a gentle stream nourishing the earth, compassion softens the hardness within the human heart. And like a great tree rooted deeply in the ground, inner peace provides stability through every season of life. Found, dear friends, may we continue learning how to live with greater awareness, greater compassion, and greater understanding. 5. May we remember that peace begins within our own hearts and radiates outward into the world around us. 4. May we learn to let go of what is unnecessary, cherish what is precious, and appreciate each moment we are given. And may the wisdom of the Buddha continue guiding us toward a life of freedom, serenity, and genuine happiness. Dear friends, as we continue reflecting upon the Buddha's teachings, we eventually come to understand that the greatest transformation does not happen somewhere outside of ourselves. It takes place quietly within the heart whenever wisdom begins to replace confusion and compassion begins to replace judgment. Many people spend years searching for peace in distant places, believing that happiness lies somewhere beyond the horizon. Yet, the Buddha gently pointed back toward the present moment and taught that true peace begins exactly where we are. It begins with a single mindful breath. It begins with one moment of understanding. It begins with one act of kindness offered without expectation of reward. When we learn to return to ourselves, we discover that the peace we longed for was never absent. It was simply hidden beneath layers of fear, attachment, worry, and endless mental activity. Just as the sun remains shining even when clouds fill the sky, the pure nature of the heart remains present beneath every passing disturbance. The practice of the Dharma is not about becoming someone else. It is about uncovering the goodness, wisdom, and compassion that have always existed within us. Day by day, breath by breath, step by step, we learn to return home to that original nature. We learn to smile more gently at life. We learn to forgive more easily. We learn to release burdens that were never ours to carry. And as this transformation unfolds, we begin to experience a freedom that no external circumstance can provide. Dear friends, If there is one message that echoes throughout this entire journey, it is this: vast. Life is impermanent. Therefore, cherish each moment. Vast. Relationships are precious. Therefore, love wholeheartedly. Vast. Time is limited. Therefore, do not waste it in resentment and unnecessary conflict. But the mind is powerful. Therefore, nurture it with wisdom and compassion. Vart. The heart is capable of great peace. Therefore, do not abandon it to greed, anger, and delusion. Bund. Whenever difficulties arise, remember that they too shall pass. Fact. Whenever success arrives, remember to remain humble and grateful. Bund. Whenever loss appears, remember that letting go is part of life itself. Vase. Whenever happiness appears, pause long enough to appreciate its presence. Bow. In doing so, every experience becomes part of the path toward deeper understanding and awakening. Fine. One day, when we reach the final chapter of our human journey, may we be able to look back without regret. And may we know that we lived sincerely, loved generously, and walked this earth with mindfulness and compassion. And may we know that we did not waste our precious years chasing illusions while overlooking the beauty of the present moment. Found. May we know that we planted seeds of kindness wherever we went. Found. May we know that our hearts became lighter, wiser, and more peaceful with each passing year. Far. In the end, these are the treasures that truly matter. Found. Not wealth, not status, not recognition, but the quality of the heart we cultivated throughout our lives. Bard. Dear friends, the channel Buddha's Words for You sincerely thanks each of you for accompanying us on this long journey of reflection and understanding. Found. May peace accompany your every step. Fund. May wisdom illuminate your every decision. Vowed. May compassion guide your every action. Vow. May contentment dwell within your heart. Mind. And may the light of the Buddha's teachings continue shining upon your path, bringing serenity, clarity, and genuine happiness wherever life may lead you. And Namo Amitabha Buddha. Find. A single teaching of the Buddha, when remembered, may awaken us for a brief moment. And yet, a single teaching of the Buddha, when truly put into practice, has the power to transform an entire lifetime. Fine. If you have found today's reflection meaningful and beneficial, please consider liking, following, and sharing it with others. 5. This is not only a gesture of support for the channel, but also a beautiful way to help spread goodness and wisdom far, allowing the Dharma to reach more people who are ready to receive its guidance. Thank you sincerely for your companionship and support. May you always preserve a peaceful heart amid the ever-changing currents of life, living each day with mindfulness, compassion, understanding, and genuine happiness. Fund. Namo Amitabha Buddha.